attention and for being here today. Mayor LaToya Cantrell.
Thank you so much, Mr. Terry, and good afternoon once again. As you can see, we're all hands on deck in the city of New Orleans, especially as we prepare for hurricane season, and we are prepared. Again, all hands on deck. With the 2024 hurricane season officially starting, as we know, June 1st, I'm standing here along with local, state, and federal partners to discuss our collaborative efforts relative keeping our people and our city safe during hurricane season 2024. Multiple departments are in this room, but also those that you cannot see. But it really includes all city departments and agencies, as well as, the National Weather Service, Sewage and Water Board, Entergy, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and, of course, our flood protection authorities. You know better than me, we are a low-lying city, low-lying community, and, of course, on the front lines of climate that has already changed. So our focus is on not only preparedness, but how we have to adapt to the changes in climate. And as we ready ourselves for what is anticipated this year to be a very active hurricane season, you're going to hear more about this from Ms. Nash. We just continue to take every action and every measure necessary to further mitigate any impacts to the city of New Orleans. Of course, we remain in tight coordination with the governor's office, all relevant law enforcement partners, first responding agencies, as well as our tourism and hospitality community as well. This also includes our transit service providers, hospitals, and shelters in our city. It's more important than ever, I would say, for our residents as well as our visitors, have a hurricane plan, not only for you, but also for your family. It's also a great opportunity for residents, again, to know that your neighbors are really your first responders. So know your neighbors, know what their needs are, and again, this is a great time to even help them gather supplies and work with our elderly, I would say especially. Remember to sign up for our NOLA Ready alerts that come in real time. You do so by texting all one word to 77295. Again, text NOLA Ready, all one word, to 77295. This continues to be the trusted source that the community as well as visitors rely on. And again, we get stronger and better with time. Of course, we know that next year will mark 20 years from Hurricane Katrina, and so from that, we just continue to remind ourselves that it really only takes one storm, and one that, again, every storm is a new one. It's different, and it just requires us, again, to lean on in and learn from previous storms, just like Hurricane Ida. And as you know, we have been investing in and promoting in all manners relative to whether it's solar, whether it's working with our partners like with the Lighthouses community, whether it's our Solar for All program, but in addition to Get Lit, Stay Lit, as well as Feed the Second Line. These are partners that we're continuing to work with to prepare and to respond to the needs of this community. So without further ado, you're going to hear from many of our leaders. I'm going to turn it over now to our Director of Homeland Security, Mr. Colin Arnold, and then he will take you through many directors that will brief you, and I will come back and forth, as you all know, and of course end with questions from the media to the public. Colin?
Thank you, Madam. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Well, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'd like to start by thanking all of the partners who are with us here today. Obviously, very full room. It really, we have to work together. These partnerships are invaluable, and I'm talking about partnerships at the local, regional, state, federal level, the private sector. We really have to come together, given the forecast for the hurricane season, which many of you have had questions about. I would echo the mayor's comment that it only takes one. We had the fourth most active hurricane season on record last year, and we were spared. And while we always hope that that's going to be the case, we know that it's not necessarily, it doesn't work out that way. We need to plan for rapidly intensifying storms. We know they've become more frequent. We're synchronizing efforts with our partners like never before. They've predicted a hyperactive hurricane season with as many as 25 named storms, with 8 to 13 forecast to be hurricanes. The New Orleans Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness remains committed to coordinating the city's response should a storm come our way. Since last hurricane season, some of the initiatives that we've continued on is obviously the Emergency Resource Center concept and our partnership with NordC and so many others. The Office of Homeless Services and Strategies, the Health Department, all of our public safety officials and responders. The Emergency Resource Center, when dealing with a long-term power outage in the aftermath of a storm, is invaluable. It is crucial, and we want to continue that. We'll be working with our state partners and our federal partners to ensure that when needed, that adequate backup power is installed on all the facilities that we have transfer switches on. That's up to 16 now around the city, predominantly Nord centers, rec centers, a few libraries are in there, and also the Morial Convention Center. We want to make sure that there's adequate power ready to go because I believe that as a city, our biggest challenge right now is going to be power loss and what we've seen from Hurricane Ida. Obviously, flooding is an issue, and potentially, wind damage potentially, but taking care of our vulnerable population, the elderly, our seniors, those with pre-existing medical conditions, and those that have other types of fragility in our community, we need to do more and as much as we can to take care of them through the storm and in the aftermath of the storm. We're going to hold a city-assisted evacuation exercise in June, focusing on the registration process and transportation with our RTA partners to the parish pickup point. We continue to develop our Spanish emergency alert list. I want to really prioritize this. If you have someone who predominantly speaks Spanish, they can text ESP to 77295. They'll get the same alerts that we send out through NOLA Ready in English, but in Spanish. Really excited this year. We've got a great partnership with Entergy New Orleans. We've reviewed all of our critical facilities lists, so all of our public safety infrastructure and critical facilities in the city are prioritized for restoration. And in addition, we've added 68 independent living facilities identified by the ordinance post-Ida to be prioritized to be restored with power as soon as possible. And Entergy is going to put this in all of their operations center, all of their command rooms, everywhere that they have this list on the wall to make sure that as soon as we can get power back, that the priority goes to those critical facilities needed for life and safety for all of our residents and all of our visitors in the city, but also for those very vulnerable, typically elderly and medically compromised folks that we know had challenges during Ida, and we want to prevent that from happening again. So we're very appreciative of Entergy New Orleans for working with us on that. We've completed the 26th WeatherSTEM weather station, and I know I drone on about this all the time, but I'm very proud of the weather system that this city has built for both for responders, for the media, and for our residents. It's all public facing. There's 26 sites now. We've included air quality monitoring on all of these because it's going to be a long, hot summer, talking separately from hurricane season. We want to make sure that the public and our responders have the most critical weather information immediately when they need it. You can visit that website at weatherwise.nola.gov. And I'm also very proud. This is something the mayor and I and our team has worked on for probably 5 years now. We will be opening a new unified public safety warehouse within 30 days. This will provide up to 65,000 square feet of critical storage for emergency supplies for all of our public safety agencies. We're going to have it all in one location. These are the things that we get out to our responders, to get out to the public during times of disaster. It will offer unparalleled supply delivery opportunities as well. It's got multiple floating loading docks. It's got drive up. You could drive an 18-wheeler into this facility. It's right next to the expressway. We're really excited about this. There'll be more details to come on it. Hopefully we can do some profile on it and really show off what we're trying to build here, which is a unified logistics operation for the city. No longer will things be kind of spread out throughout the city. We want it all in one location, and really excited about that. The biggest things that the public can do right now is stay connected. Go to ready.nol.gov. Everything I'm talking about you can find out. We know that the first 72 hours, the first 3 days are on you. Stay connected. So go to that website, register for emergency alerts. As the mayor mentioned, NOLA Ready to 77295 is the easy way. If you go to ready.nol.gov, you can create an account, select what types of alerts you want to get. It's very intuitive. Make an evacuation plan. Have a plan for your family. Have a plan for your pets. Have a plan for your loved ones. Have a plan for those seniors that may need help, and include them in your plan, please. It's just so crucial. And then gather supplies. Whether it's a lower level storm and we're saying, hey, shelter in place, this one's going to pass through, we're going to move on. Having those supplies for 3 days in your home is critical. Medications, water, food, pet food, all of those things. And then if you have to leave, again, have your go kit. Have your go kit ready to go, and have those supplies needed to leave town for a few days, and you know, possibly longer if things don't work out the way that we hope that they do. But please be ready, and review your flood insurance. This is the time of year. We know insurance is a hot button issue right now around the country, but particularly in Louisiana. We want to make sure that you review your flood insurance prior to this. Again, all these tips I'm giving you are at ready.nola.gov. We are better prepared for hurricanes than we ever have been, and we need to be, because this season appears to be busy. And we want to make sure that people aren't complacent, because we're not. It's been 2 years, fortunate to not have a storm. But now is not the time to sit on our laurels. Now is our time to get ready. And you've got time. And take that time and use it wisely. Let's work together and take care of every single resident of this city. Thank you.
Thank you, Colin. You want to?
Yes, I'm going to go ahead and bring up tremendous partner, Lauren Nash, who's a meteorologist with the National Weather Service, New Orleans, Baton Rouge office. Come on up, Lauren.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Colin, and thank you for having us. Good afternoon. We at the National Weather Service will continue to support the city of New Orleans with all their weather needs during hurricane season and during an active storm, and really whenever something else comes up, whether it's heat, air quality, smoke, fog, low water. We've had it all in the last year. Even though NOAA's outlook this season has an 85% chance of an above normal season, as you already heard, it only takes one of those storms to make it a bad season here, regardless of what that outlook is. Make sure you have a plan, listen to your local officials, and also remember you probably won't have more than a few days to make these decisions on whether or not you should stay or go. And please also remember to get your weather information from legitimate weather sources, such as a federal agency, your local officials, your local broadcast media. Thank you so much.
Next, we'll have up Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick of the New Orleans Police Department.
Thank you, Colin. I just had my first opportunity to see a hurricane briefing, and I want to assure the public that what I observed was leadership among the whole team, being brilliant in the basics. And there's something unique about law enforcement, as well as my partners here, particularly in fire, my fellow law enforcement partners here, our EMS team, our 911 team, and so forth. But there's a characteristic trait, and that is when others run from harm and danger, we run to it. And we are your 1,200 member police department. We're prepared, we're ready. We will be out there in the wind. We will be out there in the rain. We will be out there in the flood. We are equipped, and we are also brilliant in the basics. And so thank you very much. And we are stronger together, as the mayor always says. And there's truth in that saying. We are a team, and we are prepared, and we're stronger together.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief. We'll go to the Louisiana State Police next. We've got Major Donovan Archodi.
Thank you, Colin. I'm Major Donovan Archodi, and I'm excited to be here today and part of this team to echo the sentiments of what the chief said. It was a very thorough and down to basics meeting. It's very impressive. So to be a part of that is really special here today. So just to emphasize something that all our partners have been are here today is just to really emphasize a game plan. Being prepared. That is the key word, being prepared and having a game plan. So to ensure your family is safe, www.getagameplan.org for emergency preparedness. I'd like to also say about the 511la.org for road closures and traffic information. And also our social media account, State Police social media account, is for additional notices and safety information. You may also report stalled vehicles and unsafe roadway conditions at star 577. That would be star LSP. And that goes to the nearest troop. Of course, in this case, it would be Troop B here in Kenner. So with that said, I'll talk about the dreaded word, contraflow. Just for historical context of this, contraflow has only been enacted twice. That was for Katrina as well as Gustav. So the last time we've done contraflow has been 17 years ago. So, but to speak of it, because we have to each and every year, of course, contraflow is a evacuation of last resort. It's a phase evacuation. It's starting at 32 hours prior to the tropical storm force winds impacting our coast, and that's when we will begin to set up contraflow. It only affects the interstate system, so please understand that you can utilize routes out of the city, other routes besides the interstate. So that's good there. And then, of course, review the contraflow map you can find on our website, www.lsp.org. And finally, check your vehicle, have reliable transportation. Your vehicle must have gas. Along the contraflow routes, a lot of the exits are closed, so please gas up your vehicle before you leave the city, because chances are those exits that you normally would have or take are going to be closed due to the contraflow routes. So, and then lastly, please phone and let your loved ones know that you're heading out to what your destination is, because you have to let them know, of course, where you're going and where you're expected to go, because we don't want you to get lost along the evacuation. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up, Superintendent of Fire, Roman Nelson.
Thank you, Colin. Good afternoon, everyone, Madam Mayor, our public safety partners, fellow department heads, and to our media and to our city at large. So what we're all talking about here is getting ready, right? Now is the time to get ready if you are not ready. Get your plan together. Right now in the fire department, going through our hurricane guidelines, all of our firefighters are reviewing their personal evacuation plans. And that's not just for firefighters. Everyone needs to have a plan. Colin talked about it, but I want to reinforce it because it's so important about thinking through what you are going to do if a storm comes. Put a little money on the side, right? Have a couple of extra cases of water and a stash of food. Have some money on the side in case you have to evacuate. But also think about where you're going to evacuate to if a storm comes. That's why we have these, we make all of our firefighters do a personal evacuation plan, because we don't want them to be worried about where are they going to go if they have to evacuate and they're off duty, where they can get back quickly if we need them. Where is their family going to go if they're at work? We want them to be comfortable knowing where their families are going to be and that they're going to be safe, and knowing where they're going to go if they're off duty, where they can get back quickly. So everyone really needs to think through that and have that plan in place. We're conducting maintenance on all of our equipment and everything to make sure that we're ready. But again, just as the overall message from everyone here is that we're stronger together. Get your plan, be ready, so that when it comes, you're not reacting. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Next up, we have Chief Bill Selmer on from New Orleans EMS.
Thank you, Colin. Good afternoon, everyone. As you've already heard, and you will hear throughout this entire press conference, I want to stress the importance of preparedness for the upcoming hurricane season. Remember that no matter the forecast, it only takes one storm, so take time now to get ready and stay ahead of that storm or whatever storm comes our way. So please, take the time now to get prepared. Certainly you don't want to wait until a storm is bearing down on us in line at grocery stores and stores to get supplies, to do all that now, right? It's definitely important. We have also seen much shorter timelines of storms, and it's important that you take quick action when needed. So have that plan, have those supplies, be able to take that quick action when you're told to do so. New Orleans EMS works year-round to be prepared, and our department will activate all staff and resources to be ready to respond. Just want to go over a few important considerations for those especially who are medically needy or vulnerable. Definitely have a medical plan and know how to access your health care if you can't see your own provider or need to evacuate. This is especially important for patients, as I said, that are medically needy and vulnerable and that require medical treatments such as dialysis or other medical treatments, medications, whatever it might be. Talk to your healthcare provider for more information of how to access those resources if you're not able to do that at home. Have a medical kit ready with important personal and medical documents, essential items, medications, medical devices, and supplies. Have all that ready now, so all you need to do is to load it in the car or take it with you if you need to evacuate. Make sure to share your plan with trusted friends and family, and also know their plan as well. As the mayor said, know your neighbor. Know who's vulnerable in your community. Know who's vulnerable on your block, in your neighborhood. See what help they need to get ready, all right? Definitely don't leave anybody behind if you can take them with you, or find a way for them to evacuate or get resources if they need it. Certainly know your neighborhood. And then stay informed. Definitely follow the instructions of local officials. As you heard with the Weather Service, trusted information. There's a lot of information out there, and make sure you're getting it from a trusted source and you follow the instructions of local officials. As said before, sign up for city emergency alerts by texting NOLA Ready to 77295. It's a very, very useful tool. That's how we get information out to you quickly. Please sign up for that. If you need medical transportation to evacuate, make sure to arrange that ahead of time. If you need help, call 311 for assistance and more information. We also encourage you to visit ready.nola.gov for more information, and also to create a Smart 911 profile. The Smart 911 profile is where you put your information, as that's how we know who you are. That's how we know what type of ride or transportation you need if you need to evacuate. So certainly the Smart 911 profile is essential for us to know who you are and what type of help you need. With the expected above average hurricane season, it's essential that you take steps now to be ready, as I said before. If you have medical needs or need help in a disaster or evacuation, as I said, call 311, and we'll be happy to work with you individually on your plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
So we're honored with the presence today of our Orleans Parish Sheriff, Susan Hudson. Wanted to ask if, Sheriff, would you like to come up and say a couple words? Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Cantrell. Thank you, Director Arnold. I'm glad to be here as a partner to the city as we prepare for the 2024 H-word season. I never say the actual H-word, just we're ready for that season. We want the public to know that the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office is taking the safety of our city, staff, and those in our custody seriously. We have had internal staff meetings over the past month, and our staff is fully ready to execute. Now, as Director Arnold was discussing, due to the increased concern about rapid intensification, we will be taking a closer look at each storm earlier to determine if we need to evacuate sooner. You can't move 1,200 people just like that. So we will host a mock evacuation exercise next week. You'll all be invited to that. We will practice our plan should we have to jump into action to, again, evacuate more than 1,200 folks in custody at the Orleans Justice Center and our other housing facilities. During this exercise, our administrative and security personnel simulate the process we would initiate to evacuate residents in the event of a Category 2 storm or higher. In the event that we are forced to evacuate, residents will each be given armbands that security and IT personnel use to properly record who they are, what bus they are on, and where they will be transported ahead of a hurricane's arrival. I said the word. These armbands will be an important factor to ensure our residents' safety and location as they board buses that will evacuate them to a secure location at the Louisiana Department of Corrections and out of harm's way. It is also essential to make sure that they continue to get medical and mental health care. This year, the yearly exercise that we will do next week ensures that our staff is confident and ready to perform in the unfortunate event of a dangerous storm. So we will be prepared to ensure swift and organized and timely action that centers around the safety of OPSO staff and those in our custody. Our plan includes everything associated with the housing and feeding of residents in custody, along with providing food and a safe place for our staff to be housed in the event of an evacuation. And that also includes our medical and mental health personnel. Or if we have to shelter in place if a storm intensifies too quickly. Residents will not be returned to our facilities in New Orleans until all systems are properly functioning, including the return of power to all of our facilities. We have run tests on all of our diesel and gas-powered generators, massive generators, which will be activated to provide power if the utility-supplied power is lost. So these are essential for restoring power to both the jail and to our kitchen warehouse, which will be used to provide food for not just those in custody, but first responders or anyone else we may need to feed during loss of power in the city. So, and finally, we'll be glad to work with our partners at NOPD and to provide any deputies to the New Orleans Police Department's patrol functions. The courts are closed, and of course, our facilities are evacuated. So with that, I just want to ensure this public that LPSO is ready and trained. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, Sheriff, for that. As the mayor said at the beginning of remarks, we are a unified command with the state and our city council. They were unable to be here today, but as the mayor said, we stand unified to work with our city council and the state, making sure that we respond to the public as best as we can if in fact we have an emergency. So we will continue with our program with the Sewage and Water Board representative to give us some updates from Sewage and Water Board.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having us here. Sewage and Water Board stands prepared for this year's season, and that starts with the training and identification of critical personnel, our pump station operators, our power plant personnel, and those who are going to be in the field have been identified. They are ready, and they will be staged in the event that there is a named storm. We've also been working closely with the Southeast Louisiana Flood Protection Authority East to ensure that our outfall canal operations are in line with their operations as well. We've also been working very closely with Entergy. We participated just last week in their tabletop exercise so that we can ensure that we have proper lines of communication should a loss of power take place. We currently have 89 of 99 major drainage pumps available across our system, and we anticipate having our 2 largest pumps out of those that are down back in service by the end of June. All of the pumps that we have cannot operate, though, if they do not have adequate power. Our system requires a minimum of 44 megawatts of total power to be able to operate all of those pumps. We currently have 49 megawatts available, so we do have some redundancy, but we're very much looking forward to the return of Turbine 4. We expect to receive parts for that turbine on or about June 14th, and we anticipate about a 2-week turnaround time to have those parts installed, at which time we will just have just shy of 70 megawatts of power available. We also have backup generators in place for our sewer pump stations, as well as full capacity for backup generation at our East Bank and West Bank sewer treatment plants should there be a loss of power to those facilities. So we are prepared. I'm very grateful for the group that we have in this room and those upstairs, and thank you for that.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, sir. As you know, during regular operations and especially during times of emergency, our 911 communications district is very heavily needed. So Director Carl will come and give you an update on their preparedness and how the public can connect with them.
Good afternoon. As indicated by our fellow public safety team members, my staff has all gotten their evacuation plans for family together, et cetera, so that when we need to call upon them to come in and work extra shifts, et cetera, they'll be there. The first responders are your connection to field public safety responders to get the help that people need. We're all stronger together. We'll all be there, and we'll all take care of what needs to be done to get your help. In times of emergency, when there are lots of calls, the system gets bogged down, calls take time to go through it and answer. So the one thing I will say is if you need to call us, if you need to call 911, call 911 and stay on the line. Your call will be answered. You will talk to someone. We will help you. Do not hang up. Do not try to call back. That simply puts you back at the end of the line. Call 911. We will answer. After the fact, call 311 as well to report debris down, et cetera, et cetera. We will coordinate with all of our other partners to get those notifications out so that we can get streets cleared, et cetera. Thank you.
Thank you, Carl. One of our other invaluable partners that we have that works with us, of course, is the U.S. Coast Guard. We would like to ask Mike Worcester to step in and give us his update on their preparedness for the season. Thank you, Mike.
Good afternoon. My name is Commander Mike Worcester. I'm the Emergency Management Chief for Coast Guard Sector New Orleans. Coast Guard units locally have prepared for hurricane season through conducting exercises and working with our local partners. We have a great relationship with the City of New Orleans as well as our federal, state, and local partners, and we look forward to working with them as needed during severe weather events during this upcoming hurricane season. Thank you, and sitting by for any questions.
Thank you, Commander. Appreciate it. Of course, one of the agencies that helps us, non-emergencies and especially during emergencies before and after, is our infrastructure department. Deputy CAO Joe Threat will give you his update on preparedness for this season.
Good afternoon, everyone. The infrastructure group for the City of New Orleans stands ready. I've been fortunate to come in with the mayor in May 2018, and we went through multiple host of events. I'm fortunate to have most of my directors when we came in 2018 still with me. So we've handled it all, from pandemic to tornado, hurricanes, you name it. We stand ready to support the residents of New Orleans. We have a good relationship with GOSEP. We're lucky to have most of our FEMA liaison in the local FEMA office still available that mans up the EOC with us. And we have a lot of experience in grant management, so we can go out and develop those project worksheets to make sure we get the funding we need to bring the city back on board. Our primary focus is right now we'll have all hands on deck when we have a major storm heading toward us or whatever the event might be. Our focus, number one, focused on damage assessment, and then we'll do debris removal. And even now, we're working on our catch basins, our street lights, to get those all up and running. We just started this week on the Pontchartrain Expressway, restoration of those street lights on the interstate, and putting up new poles. We have a lot of problems with pilferage in the city. So a lot of times when you see street lights out, it's not because they just burn out, because the pole was cut down, or they're in our traffic signals pilfering metals. So that's one of our main problems going forth right now. And it's happening across the United States, just talking to the other departments.
Give it to them in layman terms, too, Joe.
Yes, ma'am. They're stealing. They're stealing. They're stealing. I need help from the residents on the catch basins. A lot of them, folks have went and put those catch basins not draining in 311. If they're sitting in 311 queue, if you're in the neighborhood and your catch basin's not draining, I need you to go through your council office. That's the quickest way to get to me, so I can get my crews out there clean those catch basins. Stephen and Sewer and Water Board can't pump if the catch basins are clogged up. So that's what I have for y'all today. You know, you can always reach us through the council office. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. One thing you will hear the mayor say all the time is that she is, and this administration is battle tested, and through that, through the mayor's leadership and other department heads, we reimagine the use of our great Nord Recreation Center to be able to help during the case of emergencies. With that, we bring CEO of New Orleans Recreation Department, Mr. Larry Barabino, to tell you about his storm season update and how Nord will provide services.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Madam Mayor. NORD stands ready to assist when any emergency comes. You know, as Colin Arnold mentioned, that he has 16 emergency resource centers, with 9 of those being NORD recreation centers. And we not only open for hurricanes, we open anytime there's an emergency need, whether it's a heat wave that's coming through or a cold front that's coming through. We open up our facilities to assist our residents. Also, we have had over 40 staff that has been trained through Red Cross in basic shelter management. With also, we have all of our facilities are equipped with AEDs, and all of our staff have been trained in AD and CPR training. So NORD stands ready to assist and play our part anytime there's a need and or an emergency. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Craig Toomey, Director of Emergency Management. Thank you, Mr. Toomey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. So the RTA still stands committed to providing emergency transportation to support the city's assisted evacuation plan for transportation to the Smoothie King Center, which is our parish pickup point, and also for other evacuation scenarios depending on the storm severity and speed. Last year, we integrated the 17 legacy evacu spots into our existing transit system to give people more options to be able to get to Smoothie King Center. So all anyone has to do is grab a bus going downtown, and you'll get eventually to the Smoothie King Center to evacuate safely. We will also provide point-to-point transportation for folks with persons with mobility issues. People just have to call 311. That's the main number I want you to call 311. I can't stress enough, please sign up for NOLA Ready alerts. Text NOLA Ready at 77295. The RTA will be communicating the status of transit services through NOLA Ready during a hurricane, or before a hurricane, during and after a hurricane. So it's really important you sign up for those alerts. Also, sign up for Smart 911. Very important that the RTA knows who you are as well for transportation, so we can transport you safely to the Smoothie King Center. So please sign up for Smart 911. You can access that through NOLA Ready's website as well. And the last, if you do choose to use the RTA to go to the Smoothie King Center to evacuate, you can go to our website at norda.com to download our hurricane preparedness guide, which will give you all the details that I've just spoke about today on how to access RTA services for an emergency. And you can also pick up a brochure at our RTA headquarters at Canal Street. Thank you very much.
As you know, we are a city that we are proud to say that we are built to host, and storms come at some unfortunate times when we can be filled with tourists and guests in town. So to give us an update from New Orleans and Company, Ms. Kelly Shields. Thank you, Kelly.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Madam Mayor, for having us here today. Many people talk about, today, they've talked about the residents, and I wanted to speak a little bit about the visitors who are coming to our city this summer. And we often talk about the summer tourism season being a little bit slower, but this summer is somewhat of an exception. We do have major groups that will be convening in our city, especially throughout the month of August. We have groups of 2,000 or 3,000 or more people who will be coming to New Orleans for their conventions. We also have major leisure events that are happening this summer. The 30th anniversary of the Essence Music Festival, for example, which will happen over July 4th. We're preparing to also welcome the Bocuse d'Or and Pastry World Cup, which is an event that has never been held in the United States, but it is going to be here in New Orleans in mid-June. So our job is to make sure that those visitors, we want them to come, enjoy themselves, but if need be, that they are evacuated from the city safely and that they feel informed about the plans. Those visitors are coming to New Orleans because of our world-class culture, because of our ability to host events better than any other city. But I will tell you, as someone who lives here and works here, sitting in the room this morning with the mayor and all of the leaders across that table, it is very reassuring to know the level of expertise that exists in that room, to know how battle-tested and ready this group is at every level. So I feel good about that as a citizen, and we also share that expertise with all of our customers and people who are bringing large groups of visitors to the city. They also are very comforted by the expertise and preparedness of this room. Thank you.
As you know, we have continued to develop our flood protection plan over the years since Katrina. To give us an update from Southeastern Louisiana Flood Protection Authority, Kelly Chandler. Thank you, Kelly.
Good afternoon, Mayor. Thank everybody for being here. My name is Kelly Chandler. I'm the Regional Director for the Flood Authority East. We maintain and operate the Hurricane and Storm damage risk reduction system on the east bank of the Mississippi River in St. Bernard, Orleans, and Jefferson parishes. This consists of over 192 miles of levees and flood walls. We have 246 land-based gates, 8 marine-based gates, and 3 pumping stations. We have exercised all of our gates. We have completed our annual inspections. We have updated our emergency management plan. And we have performed a tabletop exercise in anticipation of this upcoming hurricane season. We do have 4 of the 17 pumps that are being permanently repaired, 2 at the London Outfall Canal and 2 at 17th. They're working around the clock to get those pumps reassembled and back into operation. I mentioned earlier that there's a storm and damage risk reduction system, so you cannot eliminate all the risk. As you've heard today, make sure you have a plan, listen to local and state officials, and have your supplies ready. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Chandler. Another agency that's very, very important that the public may not always get to see, of course, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. We will have Mr. Brad Jurisco to come up and give us his update from his agency regarding this year's storm preparations. Thank you, Brad.
Good afternoon. As you're aware, preparing and responding to emergencies such as river floods and hurricanes requires a team approach. Throughout the year, federal, state, and local risk management teams work together to ensure that if there is an emergency, we have a cohesive and well-coordinated plan. Today, the greater New Orleans area has the most advanced risk reduction system in the nation. The system will defend against a 100-year storm surge event, which is a storm that has a 1% chance of occurring in any given year. Through the daily efforts of our partners at the Flood Protection Authorities East and West, the hurricane and storm damage risk reduction system is in great shape and will perform as designed this hurricane season. Additionally, as we're all aware, hurricanes bring rainfall in addition to storm surge. SELA projects are designed to help manage a 10-year rain event, which is 9 inches of rain during a 24-hour period. During a tropical event, SELA will work in tandem with the hurricane and storm damage risk reduction system, while the perimeter system will reduce the risk of surge entering the interior of the city. The SELA projects will help reduce rainfall-induced damages by getting water out of the city. For PCCP, we're continuing our efforts to ensure each of the permanent canal closures and pumps meet its 35-year design specifications. Long-term repairs have been completed on 1 pump, and another 3 are to be completed by June 1 this week. The remaining 13 pumps have been evaluated and confirmed to be both reliable and capable of delivering the required pumping capacity during the 2024 hurricane season. The Corps of Engineers will suspend its on-site work during the hurricane season to prevent potential interference with the Flood Protection Authority East's maintenance, readiness, and operations during any sort of weather events. I want to echo what everyone else has said here to make sure you have a plan and be ready during this hurricane season as the Corps of Engineers is ready to respond. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. We will have our mayor back for final closing comments, and then we will take 2 rounds of questions for the emergency preparedness season, and then we will close.
Thank you, Terry. As you've heard, and hopefully have a clear understanding of how the city of New Orleans is prepared for hurricane season 2024. All hands absolutely on deck, and we have demonstrated that we are stronger together. With that, this is about you all, the public, having a plan. Also, knowing your neighbors. This is a perfect opportunity, again, to not only assess your needs, but the needs that of your neighbors and your community, particularly those who are the most vulnerable in our community, our seniors. In addition to that, I just want to, again, make sure that you text all one word, NOLA Ready, to 77295. It continues to be the trusted source of information in real time that will come from the city to the public. At this time, Mr. Terry, I would like to turn it over for questions and answers, and all of our directors, our leaders, both local, state, and federal, are prepared to answer any questions that you may have after a very extensive briefing that we have provided you with.
Zach?
Senator Thibodeau go before state lawmakers today, saying that contraflow becomes difficult when some of the almost 2 million residents in the metro area are waiting until that last possible second to evacuate their homes. So what are some of the challenges that your offices face in convincing people that you need to evacuate on that first voluntary evacuation and then that mandatory evacuation? And how important are those alerts from the city to people?
I think the alerts from the city are the most important because they're in real time and it's us responding to existing conditions that are on the ground and that change rapidly. What we have seen, quite frankly, that storms are coming faster than we could even ever anticipate contraflow. You've heard from the state police as well. Colin, please come up and you can give it a little bit more meat on the bone, but the bottom line is things are coming faster, harder, and that's why we're putting a little bit more pressure, I would say, on the federal government and also just in terms of the spirit of partnership, state and local and federal partners to meet the needs of our people. Colin?
Yes, ma'am. It's a great point. Somewhere along the line, and I was very alarmed last year, I believe it was Representative Willard, put together kind of a community subcommittee about contraflow. And I was very alarmed that there are members of the community telling us, when we're talking about contraflow, that contraflow is, when they enact contraflow, that's when it's time to leave. That's my decision-making point. And that cannot be further from the truth. When you hear the mayor say it's time to go, it's time to go. That should be your decision point of whether or not you're going to evacuate. If it's a mandatory evacuation, clearly it's time to go. So the sooner you can do that safely with your family, with your pets, with your loved ones, and get out of town, that's when to go. What we have always said about contraflow is it's the last resort of last resorts. It is when we realize that at 30 hours before a hurricane is going to arrive in the community, 1.3 million people here, you can do the math. It takes a lot of roadway to get everyone out. And so it's like pulling the bathtub drain on the sink, or on the bathtub to get people out at that final last moment. And so don't base your decision-making off of when contraflow is enacted. Do it hours before, 12 hours before. If you do that as well, you're not going to have the concerns about fuel. You're not going to have the concerns about breaking down on the side of the road with everyone else who runs out of fuel. You're not going to be waiting, 8 to 10 hours in traffic to get to Mobile or to get west, whichever direction you're evacuating. It just makes so much more sense to try and do these things very early.
Well, and I would just add, we have real scenarios that we've had to live through, Ida being one of them, where we had to therefore implement a post-disaster evacuation. Those are strategies that we will continue to uplift and lean on should we need to.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, you didn't have anything? Eleanor?
Just to follow off what Maddie said with both you, Mayor Cantrell and Colin, at the state level, they said today when it comes to contraflow, it's up to the parish's discretion to enact that contraflow. And they also mentioned 72 hours before that has to happen. I just want some clarification because I believe that the state trooper did say 36. So when it comes to making that decision, you guys obviously will have to work with other parishes. Everyone's using that interstate, plus maybe Mississippi, Texas, DOTD. How does that all work, and then coordinating that with the state?
Well, hour 72 is what is on, I would say, the plan or the map, if you will. But clearly, time isn't on our side based on how these storms have been coming our way. That's just the facts. You mentioned a coordinated effort. Absolutely. It's not just about parish to parish coordination. It's state to state. And so those are our challenges. And of course, if one state does not want to move forward, then it cripples the entire plan. And so we have to, one, just rely on ourselves in terms of effective communication and our public being in a position to receive timely updates from all officials, and particularly this city, the mayor of the city of New Orleans, and all partners here. But that is why texting again that NOLA ready to 77295, I would say, is the best point of contact for our public. Anything to add, Colin?
So the mention of 30 hours by Major Archodi, that's when it actually starts, when people will actually see the interstates all going one direction. You know, we're talking Interstate 10, 55, and 59. 2 of those interstates run through Mississippi. This is where the challenge is with contraflow and the 72 hours that it takes to set it up, essentially. And that is that 2 of those interstates are going to run through Mississippi, so you've got traffic closures and law enforcement and DOT resources from both states that have to be put together. We want to work with the state. It's a state plan. The only thing we can do as a city is request it. And I think where the issue comes in, what the mayor talked about is during Ida, Ida didn't exist at H-72. It wasn't even, it didn't exist. So when we're finally able to actually see this is going to be a major hurricane projected to hit New Orleans, we were at 50, maybe, 40. And so we're outside of that window already with contraflow. So I think the future of contraflow, it's a viable plan. I think what has to happen is we need to work with our state partners and figure out a way to possibly try and trim that time down, that notification time.
Thank you, Colin. Ariel?
My question is for Sheriff Hudson, actually. just
Okay,
in regard
sure.
to, next week you're saying that there's going to be a mock evacuation plan, but can you go into detail a little bit more of what the evacuation process looks like in addition to those armbands for those 1,200 or so inmates?
Yeah, it's making sure, our buses are ready. So we'll have those ready, making sure they're able to operate, everything's good. It's mobile IT systems as well, making sure that those work so that we can get everybody processed. We'll just bring them down. We got to make sure they have food for the trip. So it's a big exercise, and it involves all of our security personnel. Everybody has a role to play. So whether it's the security team following the bus, so on and so forth. So it starts all with getting them ready, getting those who will be participating, who are in our custody ready. Make sure there's food, make sure they got the armbands, the IT is working, the trucks are working, and then our security personnel is there as well. So it's a big exercise.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Sophie?
Thank you, Sheriff.
I have a question regarding something that Mr. Arnold shared with one of our other reporters, I believe last week when he spoke with Mike Smith about the idea of a refuge where people could be during, the most intense moment of a storm. I wonder if you could say anything more about what a plan for that might look like, where that would be, if that's kind of the center, and also how that would be paid for if that did need to be stood up.
We have realized that, especially from lessons learned during Ida, which you heard in my remarks initially, the elderly, our seniors, those that are in independent living facilities, those that have pre-existing medical conditions and mobility issues or mobility challenges, it's our greatest concern, particularly with power. So what we've done in the past, and we've always, for every hurricane, we have had some sort of medical sheltering set up in the city. It's usually been pretty small scale, and in some cases, we haven't had to use it. What we believe moving forward is that there needs to be an area of refuge, particularly for those vulnerable populations, those that have medical needs. And that is something that we're trying to address, not only on a city level, but on a regional level. We're engaging with partners in other parishes. We're engaging with the state and the federal government. Who's going to pay for it? I mean, I think that's a little early to tell, but obviously it would be a Stafford Act declaration. There would be a reimbursement process. These are all things that we do to protect our community and our community members, so as from a hurricane. And so, and a location, I think, that could depend. It could be a large facility that we would need. It may be a smaller facility. So to pick one, there could also be an issue with availability of facilities. So what we would like to do is leverage the facilities that we know we have, city facilities like Nord Rec Centers and others, and then other facilities in our community that, can take power and can be a place where we can hold some of those very vulnerable members of our community and make sure that they get through the storm and I think most importantly, the aftermath of the storm if we have power outages. And I think that's, what Mike and I talked about. And it's a plan that's in progress. I think that we'll have a good working outline that we could enact this season if we have to. And that would particularly be for August, through the end of this hurricane season. Everyone has realized with the last storms that we've faced that this is not a problem that's going away and it's not going to reverse. I mean, we are having very rapidly intensifying storms with very little notice, and we have to address that. I think our challenge is this. There's a lot of memory from Katrina about certain facilities in the city and what happened, and that's because they didn't have a plan. If we have a plan and we adequately resource and secure whatever facility we use, it will be a success, and lives will be saved. So, that will take some negotiation with the community and maybe some of these stakeholders that are out there. But I think that everyone knows, and everyone that I have talked to so far is on board with making sure that we have some place for the most vulnerable in our community to go that absolutely cannot get out of town.
Thank you, Colin. Final question for Telemundo? No? All right, well, thank you, everyone.
Telemundo? Yeah, good. Oh, jambalaya. Okay, how to say, I'm looking at you.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a question because we live with many people do not have legal status.
Legal status.
Yes, legal status. And sometimes they are afraid to ask for help at the event. Something happened like that, hurricane come. Any advice for that community, for that people do not have papers in case something happened and they don't want to go and ask for help because for their legal status?
Sure. Well, the city of New Orleans, we are a welcoming community, and we put resources and assets to bear when it comes to bridging that gap from our people who do not speak English and or who are undocumented. They matter in the city of New Orleans, and I think that we have demonstrated that, and we will continue to go the extra mile to meet our people where they are so that they are comfortable with coming forth, but also understanding that we go to them as well. But we will continue to work with all of our residents, documented and or not, when it comes to making sure that they have the resources and tools to be safe for themselves and their families. Absolutely. Anything to add? Come on, Chief. Come on.
Thank you. I really appreciate that question. No police officer is going to ask anyone their status. We don't care. We care about them as a person. So please call us. All we care about is taking care of you, serving you, making sure you're safe. I don't care, and we don't care about their status, okay? But thanks for asking the question.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Mr. Terry and team. Thank you so much.
Thank you all for being here today. We appreciate it. If you have any other, Colin and I will be around for any follow-up.
Thank you, Chief.